Hi there, we're delighted to see you again on VITV with Into Vietnam. It's August the 5th and here are the major stories. The HSBC forecasts Vietnam credit growth is 10% in 2014. 11 local banks are cited among the world top 1,000. Price transferring activities get tougher, get more complicated in Vietnam, especially among FDI sector. The HSBC has released a report on Vietnam's macroeconomic prospects. Accordingly, the bank forecasts the country's credit growth in 2014 will reach 10%, lower than the target of 12 to 14% by the State Bank. Since the beginning of the year, bank's credit has increased by 3.6% against the end of 2013 and by approximately 11% compared to the same period last year. The HSBC said the periodicity of the financial leverage will be helpful for Vietnam's economy in the long term. According to HSBC, Vietnam's economic growth will be controlled at a certain growth floor, and the government will have appropriate measures to control and promote growth. The bank forecasts Vietnam economic growth will continue in 2015, when the new FDI prospects start operation, as well as the recovery of the global economic environment. The prestigious financial magazine The Banker has listed 11 Vietnam banks in its recently published Top 1 Bank ranking for 2014, affirming the country as the leading financial center in the Southeast Asia. The Vietnam Joint Stock Commercial Bank for Industry and Trade ranked the 362nd, followed by the Joint Stock Commercial Bank for Foreign Trade of Vietnam, the Bank for Investment and Development of Vietnam, Saigon Thương Tín Bank, and the Vietnam Export-Import Commercial Joint Stock Bank. The world's top 5 banks included the Industrial and Commercial Banks of China Limited, the China Construction Bank, the JP Morgan Chase & Company, the Bank of America, and the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank Corporation. According to the data from the Ministry of Finance, state budget collection in the first 7 months of 2014 hit 497.36 trillion dong, accounting for 63.5% of the whole year plan and up 14.4% from the same period last year.
The state budget deficit in July is estimated at 17.17 trillion dong, bringing the budget deficit in 7 months of 2014 to 88.53 trillion dong, equaling to 39.5% of the goal set by the National Assembly at the beginning of the year. According to the Ministry of Finance, domestic collection in the first 7 months is estimated as 336 trillion dong, accounting for 62.4% of the whole year plan and up 16.8% on year, in which the collection from state-owned sector hit 59.4% of the estimation, up 26.9%. Collection from non-state-owned sector reached 63.1% of the estimation, up 8.7%. State budget collection from import-export activities reached 140 trillion dong, accounting for 62.5% of the budget estimation, up 13.3% from 2013, mainly thanks to high trade turnover in 7 months, with some high tariff items with increasing values. In terms of state budget expenditure, the total expenditure in July hit 92.72 trillion dong. In 7 months of 2014, hit 585.9 trillion dong, accounting for 58.2% of the yearly plan and up 11.7% on the year.
In implementing the Finance Ministry Decision No. 1250, released on May 21, 2014, on the Action Plan on Controlling Price Transferring Activities in 2012-2015 period, taxation agencies have inspected and detected a lot of companies involving in price transferring and collected tax areas of trillions of dong. In the first half of 2014, they detected 557 pricing transferring companies and collected areas were totally 600 billion dong. It's worrying that the activities are becoming more popular in the country. In the past 3 years, although the number of companies and tax areas went down, price transferring activities have gotten more complicated. In 2012, tax agencies inspected more than 2,160 loss-declaring firms, which are under suspicion, and collected more than 746 billion dong. In 2013, the number of inspected companies stayed the same, but the collected taxes rose to approximately 1 trillion dong. Between January and April 2014, 361 companies were inspected on price transferring, and they were collected more than 287.2 trillion dong. The figures continue to rise so far this year.
Từ đầu năm đến nay thì đã thanh tra 557 doanh nghiệp và truy thu đến con số lên 579 tỷ đồng. Thì trong các cái doanh nghiệp mà thanh tra về kiểm tra giá trị ở đấy chủ yếu nằm trong lĩnh vực dệt may, sản xuất sợi và sản xuất giày dép và một số các ngành khác.
To combat the complicated situation of price transferring activities in Vietnam, the government assigned the Finance Ministry and Taxation Department to control them. Despite positive steps, the management was limited. 60% of exports in Vietnam are being held by foreign investors. Taxation Department said price transferring mainly occurs in foreign invested companies.
Ở những giao dịch và những doanh nghiệp có quan hệ liên kết thì trong mà chúng tôi xây dựng thông tư 66 2010 và trong đó liệt kê cụ thể rất nhiều trường hợp, nhưng trong đó chúng tôi thống kê 13 trường hợp chi tiết để quản lý hoạt động chuyển giá. Từ thông tư chúng tôi xây dựng chương trình và thanh tra, chúng tôi đặt vấn đề trọng điểm trong những năm tới từ năm 2012 đến 2015.
Luật quản lý thuế sửa đổi vừa rồi cũng đưa ra một số các cái điều cũng rất là rõ ràng dựa trên những cái hướng dẫn ở trong luật và những cái hệ thống thông tin sẵn có theo dõi theo từng địa bàn, từng địa phương, theo từng ngành chẳng hạn, thì có thể là khi đọc một cái báo cáo tài chính của doanh nghiệp là có thể xác định rằng là cái phạm vi nào là có thể có rủi ro. Đấy. Cái rủi ro ở đây thì có thể nó sẽ bao trùm khá là nhiều các loại thuế khác nữa, đấy, chứ không riêng gì vấn đề chuyển giá, mà vấn đề chuyển giá thì nó là một trong cái điểm mấu chốt quan trọng, nó nằm trong cái phần thuế thu nhập doanh nghiệp.
Price transferring is popular among transactions and joint venture business, especially in FDI sector. Experts say this is because the tax and cost in Vietnam are too high.
Cả các cái đứng về tiêu chí đánh giá môi trường kinh doanh như của nhóm Ngân hàng Thế giới đưa ra trong báo cáo Doing Business hàng năm thì cho thấy là một container xuất khẩu khỏi Việt Nam thì chi phí của nó đắt hơn rất nhiều so với một container ở Thái Lan. Hay cái giờ để mà tính thuế hàng năm ấy cũng cao hơn rất nhiều so với giờ tính thuế ở Thái Lan. Thì tất cả cái đó nó làm đội chi phí lên. Và như vậy là khi chi phí tăng cao thì nó tăng thêm cái động cơ cho người ta để gian lận bằng cách chuyển giá.
There are now more than 12,000 FDI companies in Vietnam, making a great contribution to the national economy. However, the tax sector can just control 4,000 of those who have joint venture transactions, and we cannot be assured that the rest of more than 8,000 companies in the country are not involved in this legal action. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng has required that tax sector cut the time for enterprises to complete tax paperwork to under 300 hours a year by the end of 2014. The Prime Minister also urged the sector to try and reduce the time for tax procedures further to the regional level of 171 hours in 2015. According to the World Bank data, a Vietnamese business has to spend an average of 537 hours each year to deal with the tax procedures. If the time required for declaring and submitting social insurance, healthcare, and unemployment data is included, tax paperwork will take as many as 872 hours, 4 to 5 times higher compared with other regional countries. A survey conducted by the Vietnam Chamber of Commerce and Industry showed that 24% of interviewed businesses ranked the tax sector second from the bottom in terms of administrative reform. saying that the sector still requires businesses to hand in unnecessary documents. And now let's move on with some foreign trade news.
The Ministry of Industry and Trade reported garment and textile exports jumped 11.1% on month in July to $2.1 billion, surpassing the telephone sector as the nation's leading export industry. According to the ministry's latest statistics, garment and textile exports outpaced the telephone sector by $0.5 billion. In the first 7 months of the year, cumulative garment and textile exports increased 19.4% on year to $11.48 billion. Garment exports achieved two-digit growth in most markets, including the US 14.85%, Europe 26%, Japan 13.82%, and the Republic of Korea 36%. According to the Brazilian Ministry of Development, Industry and Foreign Trade, two-way trade between Vietnam and Brazil jumped 18% on year for the first 6 months of 2014, tallying in as $1.27 billion. For the first half of the year, Vietnamese export revenues from Brazil surged 33.3% to hit a record of $732.6 million, while its imports from the country edged up slightly by 2.2% to $542.5 million. Vietnam's major exports to Brazil were telephone accessories, footwear, frozen fish fillets, and synthetic fiber. Brazil mainly shipped corn, soybeans, and cotton to the Vietnamese market.
Vietnamese aquatic products are gaining a firmer foothold in the global market, as evidenced by healthy growth in exports to both traditional and new markets. In the first 7 months of 2014, the country's aquatic exports picked up 24.5% from a year earlier to $4.2 billion, with the US, EU, Japan, the Republic of Korea, and China as top importers. Such a pace was fueled by a strong shrimp shipments, which saw double-digit growth in many markets. Shrimp exports to the US and the Republic of Korea even posted 3-digit increases. The Department of Fisheries under the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development attributed the achievement to stable material supply and good control over diseases of shrimps. The Vietnam Association of Seafood Exporters and Producers of ASEP predicted that aquatic exports will continue the upward trend in the third quarter to hit $2.1 billion, including $1.2 billion from shrimps, as foreign demand is expected to increase in the holiday season at the end of the year.
Last but not least, we'll look at today's local gold prices, forex, and stock markets. Well, that's the news on VITV. Thank you so much for the time with us. We'll see you soon and goodbye for now.